You are lying in bed right now, staring at the ceiling. The room is too warm. The sheets feel wrong. You turn one way, then the other. Sleep will not come. You have probably blamed your mattress, your pillow, your phone, your anxiety. But the real reason you cannot sleep when it is hot is far older than any of those things, and it has nothing to do with discomfort. It is a survival program, running exactly as designed, and your ancient ancestors are the ones who wrote it. Here is what the science says about heat, sleep, and the human body. And by the end, the way you experience a hot, sleepless night will never be quite the same. Start with the basic biology. Your body does not fall asleep by accident. Sleep is a carefully choreographed biological event, and one of its most critical triggers is a drop in core body temperature. Neuroscientist Matthew Walker at the University of California, Berkeley, has documented this process in precise detail. In the hours before sleep, your body begins actively pushing heat outward, redirecting blood flow toward your hands and feet, radiating warmth away from your core. Your core temperature needs to drop by roughly 1 to 2 degrees Celsius before deep sleep becomes possible. This is not optional. It is a biological requirement. When the environment around you is too hot, that temperature drop cannot happen efficiently. Your body keeps trying, but the heat fights back, and you lie there, restless, half awake, caught between a body trying to cool down and an environment that will not let it. This is your ancient design, running in a modern world, and the question is why your body works this way at all. To understand that, you have to go back, a long way back. Your ancestors did not have bedrooms. They did not have mattresses or air conditioning or even walls in any consistent sense. For most of human prehistory, sleep happened outside, on the ground, in the open air, and the environment your body was designed to sleep in was not the climate-controlled interior of a modern home. It was the African savanna, dry, open, and governed by radical temperature swings between day and night. Anthropologist David Samson at the University of Toronto has spent years studying sleep in modern hunter-gatherer populations, the closest living approximation we have to prehistoric human sleep behavior. What he found rewrote the scientific understanding of how ancient humans slept. They did not sleep in one long block. They slept in multiple shorter periods, shifting position frequently, sometimes waking and interacting briefly before returning to sleep. And critically, they were extraordinarily responsive to their thermal environment. When it was hot, they moved. When the ground was too warm, they shifted. When the air was stagnant, they repositioned. Sleep for your ancestors was not a passive surrender to unconsciousness. It was an active, responsive, almost negotiated process between the body and the environment. So what did they actually do when it was too hot? The first answer is elevation. Heat rises from the ground and collects in low-lying areas. Ancient humans instinctively knew this. Sleeping slightly elevated on a raised platform of branches, a hillside, a rock outcrop, allowed cooler air to circulate beneath and around the body. Archaeological evidence from sites across Africa and Southeast Asia shows early humans constructing rudimentary raised sleeping platforms dating back at least 77,000 years. Researcher Lyn Wadley at the University of Witwatersrand and documented what appear to be the oldest known beds, layered grass and plant material at Sibadu Cave in South Africa, designed not just for cushioning, but for insulating the sleeper from the warm ground below. The ground retains heat from the sun long after sunset. Getting off the ground was one of the most effective temperature regulation strategies available. The second strategy was water. Bodies of water, rivers, lakes, and even shallow pools release cool air as temperatures drop at night. Ancient humans camped near water not just for drinking, but for the thermal microclimate it created. The evaporative cooling effect of water on skin, water applied to the wrists, the neck, the forehead, is not a modern hack. It is an ancient behavior observed in nearly every traditional culture on Earth. Wet grass, damp leaves, cool mud applied to the skin before sleep. These were real prehistoric cooling technologies. Your body already knows this. When you are overheated, you instinctively seek out the coolest surface available, a cold tile floor, a glass of ice water pressed to the back of your neck. That instinct is ancient. The third strategy was community. This one surprises people. In extreme heat, ancient humans did not sleep alone. They slept in groups, and the arrangement of those groups was thermally strategic. Bodies that are too warm benefit from airflow between them. Ancient sleeping arrangements in hot conditions tended toward loose groupings with deliberate spacing, taking advantage of any available breeze while still maintaining the social safety of proximity. But in more moderate heat, particularly in desert environments where nights could turn cold fast, the opposite was true. Bodies clustered together, sharing warmth. The thermoregulation of ancient sleep was a communal activity, not a private one. Your ancestors did not retreat to separate rooms when the temperature became difficult. They solved it together. The fourth strategy, and perhaps the most counterintuitive, was strategic wakefulness. Researcher Jerome Siegel at UCLA has studied sleep patterns in 3 traditional hunter-gatherer societies, the Hadza of Tanzania, the San of Namibia, and the Tsimane of Bolivia. What he found challenged nearly everything modern sleep science had assumed. These populations do not average 8 hours of unbroken sleep. They average between 5.7 and 7.1 hours, with frequent brief wakings, and they are not sleep deprived deprived. By every measurable biological marker, they are healthier sleepers than the average modern human. In hot conditions, Siegel observed that these populations would wake during the hottest part of the night, engage in quiet activity, social conversation, light tasks, and then return to sleep when temperatures began to drop in the hours before dawn. The hottest window of a tropical night is often between midnight and 2 in the morning. Sleeping through it by force is actually harder than briefly waking, letting the body recalibrate, and returning to sleep when conditions improve. This means that when you wake up at 1 in the morning feeling too hot and unable to return to sleep, you are not experiencing insomnia. You may be experiencing the most natural sleep pattern your species ever had. The fifth strategy was fire. This one seems backwards, but it is real. In many environments, the problem is not consistent heat, but erratic temperature. The African savanna, even in summer, can see temperatures plunge by 15 to 20 degrees Celsius between midnight and dawn. Ancient humans used fire not just for warmth, but for temperature stability. A controlled fire at the edge of a sleeping group created a buffer against sudden cold drops, allowing the body to reach the deep sleep it needed without being shocked awake by a temperature plunge. Fire also kept predators away, which solved a different but equally urgent problem for sleep quality. There is something profound in all of this. The science of ancient sleep is not a story of suffering through difficulty. It is a story of extraordinary biological and behavioral adaptability. Your ancestors were not fighting their environment to get to sleep the way you do. They were reading it, responding to it, moving with it. The mismatch you feel on a hot night is not a failure. It is the gap between the environment your body was built for and the one you actually live in. A body that evolved to sleep on the open savanna, responsive to every temperature shift, every threat, every change in the air, does not switch off easily inside four walls with recycled air and artificial light. Matthew Walker puts it plainly in his research. The human brain was never designed for the rigid, solitary 8-hour sleep block that modern society treats as the standard. It was designed for flexibility, for responsiveness, for the kind of layered, environmentally attuned rest that your ancestors practiced every night under open sky. So the next time you are lying in the heat, unable to sleep, staring at the ceiling, try something your ancestors would have recognized immediately. Get up, go somewhere slightly cooler, put cool water on your wrists and the back of your neck, sit quietly for 20 minutes, let your core temperature drop, then return to bed. You are not broken, you are ancient, and the heat, for once, is not your enemy. It is just the oldest alarm clock your species ever had, reminding you that the night is not yet done. You are lying in bed right now, staring at the ceiling. The room is too warm. Now you know exactly why, and for the first time, that restless heat makes perfect sense.